Today, we're diving into an incredible story of nation building coming out of India. It's really a masterclass in engineering genius that all boils down to one simple question. How do you fit a nearly 700-kilometer industrial pipeline into a space that's barely wide enough to walk on?
Okay, let's just jump right in. To build a major gas pipeline, engineers usually need a workspace, a corridor, that's about 20 to 30 meters wide. That gives them plenty of room to work. But for this brand new project in India, the state-owned company GAIL had just 3 meters. I mean, that's literally the width of an average city sidewalk. So yeah, that is the central puzzle of this whole thing. How on earth do you pull off a feat of engineering on that kind of scale with a constraint that is just that tight? Well, let's find out. You see, this wasn't just some one-off engineering challenge they had to solve. The solution is actually part of a much bigger, and frankly, much smarter, national strategy for how you build major infrastructure in the 21st century. The project we're talking about is the Mumbai Nagpur Natural Gas Pipeline, or MNPL for short. At 694 kilometers long, this thing is a massive trunk line, and it's designed to be a whole new energy backbone for the state of Maharashtra. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The core concept, the big idea, was this. Instead of going through the hassle of acquiring all new land, the plan was to lay the pipeline right inside the utility corridor of a brand new expressway, the Samruddhi Mahamarg. It's a brilliant way to save time, money, and a whole lot of headaches. But it came with that one massive catch, that 3-meter width. And that brings us right to the heart of the story, what everyone started calling the 3-meter challenge. This single constraint literally shaped every decision, every design, and every single day of construction. Just let this number sink in for a second. 96%. 96% of this enormous 694-kilometer pipeline was built inside that tiny 3-meter strip. That's 675 kilometers of high-stakes precision engineering where there was absolutely no room for error. And, as if the physical squeeze wasn't enough, the project also had to deal with some major curveballs. It got its authorization right as the pandemic hit, which caused all sorts of disruptions. And then, crucial forest clearances didn't come through until nearly 3 years later. But the greatest test of all, the real boss level, came when the pipeline's route slammed right into one of India's most formidable mountain ranges, the Western Ghats. The team zeroed in on one particular section, a place called Fugale Hill, as the absolute ultimate challenge. I mean, we're talking about incredibly steep slopes with elevation changes of over 200 meters, unstable rocky ground, thick forest, and to top it all off, it gets drenched by heavy monsoon rains. So just digging a trench was a total non-starter. It was impossible. They had to get creative. The engineers came up with this really cool hybrid solution. First, they used a technique called horizontal directional drilling, which is basically drilling a super precise tunnel through the hill instead of trying to go over it. Then they used a powerful thruster system to literally pull the massive pipeline sections through that tunnel. And they had to do all of this while putting in complex slope stabilization measures to stop landslides during those intense monsoons. Okay, so we've seen the incredible engineering, which is just mind-blowing. But let's zoom out a bit and look at why this pipeline actually matters so much. What does it really do for the millions of people who live there? Well, first up, the direct impact on people's homes is huge. An estimated 9.5 million households will now have the chance to get access to cleaner, much more convenient piped natural gas. And then there's transportation. The pipeline can supply over 1,700 CNG stations, which means a cleaner fuel alternative for all the trucks and cars traveling along this major economic corridor. And its reach is just vast. This one pipeline acts as a backbone, making it possible to create brand new city gas networks in 16 different districts across the state, bringing modern energy to areas that just didn't have it before. So beyond homes and cars, this pipeline is really a catalyst for some major economic growth. It's going to provide reliable energy for big industries like power and manufacturing. It'll encourage smaller businesses to set up shop along the route, and it supports the development of new logistics hubs. It's a real game changer. And this brings us to what might be the biggest takeaway of all. The success of this project isn't just about one pipeline. It's about creating a whole new blueprint for how India can build its future. It's a perfect, real-world example of a national master plan called PM Gati Shakti. Now, the core idea behind it is simple but really powerful. get different government departments to plan their big projects like roads and energy together so they can build faster and way more efficiently. And this pipeline just illustrates that concept perfectly. It proves that a road doesn't have to be just a road. An expressway can also be an energy corridor or a digital corridor for fiber optics and more. And that solves one of the biggest, most time-consuming hurdles for any new project: acquiring land. As one official who worked on the project put it, this success proves that India can deliver truly next-generation infrastructure, even when it's faced with the most difficult terrain and craziest constraints you can imagine. So it leaves us all with a really fascinating question for the future, right? If a simple strip of land next to a highway can become an energy superhighway, what other hidden opportunities are just waiting to be unlocked in the race to build tomorrow's infrastructure?